Look, if you told college me that I would be where I'm at right now, working for the federal government in international diplomacy and friendship, I would not have believed you. I think that would have burst my world in that moment.
Welcome to Learning from Experience, a podcast for college students and recent grads who want to hear directly from alumni and how they've adjusted their lives post-graduation, including personal stories of success, career readiness, and tips for navigating the real world. I'm your host, Megan Finnerty, and today I'll be talking with Michael Houang. He graduated in 2018 with 3 bachelor's degrees in economics, sociology, and business with an emphasis in global politics. He also earned a certificate in international studies. While working towards his master's degree in global technology and development, he joined the Peace Corps as a volunteer in Western China, teaching English to undergraduate and postgraduate students at Lanzhou University of Technology. And in 2020, he finished his master's while working on political campaigns for President Joe Biden and Senator Mark Kelly. After that, he supported the campaigns of Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff in Georgia's 2021 state runoffs. Michael currently works for the Peace Corps as a program specialist in Chicago, Illinois, leading the agency's Peace Corps Prep undergraduate certificate initiative and oversees strategic partnerships for all Peace Corps university programs in the Northeast region. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Megan.
Well, to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about your background, your experience, and your current role?
My name is Michael Houang. I grew up in the suburbs of Phoenix. Actually, I grew up in Chandler, Arizona. So I went to Arizona State University. It seemed like a natural fit after graduating high school. I went to ASU in 2018, where I triple majored, starting in economics, business global politics, and sociology. Pursued my master's at ASU as well in global technology and development. And after graduating, my experience has really run the gambit from international affairs, higher education, government, and politics. Initially, after graduating, I worked for ASU as a success coach. So for all those listening, if you don't know who your success coach is or what a success coach is, I highly recommend that you get in touch with one and find out more information. They're going to be one of the best people that you can have in your corner during your academic experience. After my stint as a success coach, I went into volunteering for the Peace Corps, where I taught English at a university in Western China. That was an amazing experience, just to be able to witness something so unique and to do something so international and impactful as well. Coming back and reintegrating into the United States, I had a brief stint as well in politics and as a political grassroots organizer, ensuring that people knew about the candidates at that time and making sure that people were motivated to go out and vote. But now I am located in Chicago, where I'm working as a program specialist with the U.S. Peace Corps. I've been here for about 3.5 years now, and I love it here.
So you've lived in many different areas, starting from moving from Chandler, Arizona, to then to a whole other country, then back now in a different state. What is it like relocating after college?
Well, I think ever since graduating undergrad, I've lived in about 6 different cities all around the world. Maybe I've changed addresses about 12 times within a span of around 8 years. So, the grind never stops in a lot of ways. When it comes to, finding out how you're able to live in a new community, right, in a new city, I think the challenge in relocating to a new city is a very personalized experience. It's really dependent on each person, right? This is true whether you move domestically or even internationally, but it is doable. So don't let anyone fool you into thinking that you're trapped where you are. In fact, there may be some students listening who may have had to relocate to attend ASU, right? Either out of state or even internationally. I think that they would have to agree. You have to learn and relearn how to adapt to the nuances of the new environment ahead of you and the differences in how you're used to living your lifestyle as well. For me, I knew at a very young age that I was ready for a life outside of my own backyard. Right. Arizona was very, very familiar with me, all the rock lawns and the cacti everywhere, coming home with monsoon dust. It's very familiar, but I knew that there was something bigger out there for me to be a part of and for me to curate as a part of my own experience as well. So I would say that, my mind and certainly my heart were ready to relocate. But to say that it was easy would be a bit of a disservice to the amount of hard work that you actually have to take and you have to place in adapting to the communities that you've been a part of. Yes, it's going to be a challenge. Yes, it's going to take some determination. And yes, you are entirely capable of being able to do it as well.
What has been the most surprising thing to you? What have you learned about yourself in your career as you've navigated these different jobs, but also those 12 different addresses?
One thing that I truly recognized throughout my entire experience, and it's been such an amazing aha moment every single time I reconnect with this, is how much I love capacity building. Being that sparker, right? Being that connecting piece. The ability to connect worlds and emphasize the congruencies of two different parties in order to find common ground and to build upon that goal work together. So regardless of where I've traveled and the locations that I've lived internationally, abroad, or even domestically, one thing does remain constant. That's the people and that's the community, right? The sense of community. It's a humanistic drive that runs throughout and fulfills who we are as folks. And that doesn't just go away due to where arbitrary borders are drawn, right? Everyone eats the same, they laugh the same, and they love the same as well.
As you've navigated taking different jobs after college, you've had to pivot a little bit. What skills have you been able to apply as you've changed job titles?
When I was working as a success coach at Arizona State, that was, I think, one of the most valuable and fulfilling roles that I've ever had. Just be able to work one-on-one with students to identify their needs as students, right? And develop themselves in an academic and professional manner, as well as to be alongside them as they walk through their journey, right? Their own personal growth. But when I was working at ASU too, I knew and I thought about volunteering for the Peace Corps for quite a long time before then, but never got the opportunity to have it come to fruition. So I decided, you know what? Let's send in the application, see what happens. I was really excited to receive my letter of invitation. I really had to pinch myself because it was my letter of invitation to serve in Western China as an English education volunteer. And after I went through the security and medical clearance process, I packed up my entire life in 2.5 bags and headed for service in China. When I arrived in the summer of 2019, I went through an intensive 2.5 months of training in country where I was living in Chengdu, which is a part of Sichuan province in the southwest. Then after I got sworn in as a Peace Corps volunteer, I received my post at the Lanzhou University of Technology, which is about 12 hours away of a train ride north of where I was initially. This is where I taught 500 students, most of whom were postgraduate students in oral English. I taught them, speaking and listening, English debate. Sadly, my time as a volunteer was cut short due to the onset of COVID-19 and the pandemic. But I came back during, you might recall, it was a time of huge social change and the political movement. So I knew that at that time, if I was going to do nothing, I might as well do something while doing nothing. So then I applied to train as a grassroots-based community organizer in something called the Organizing Corps, which eventually led me to be recruited to organize on behalf of Senator Mark Kelly and President Biden in the 2020 general elections. It was a lot of hard work, but it was meaningful. And after the elections were over in November of 2020, there was actually word that the Georgia elections would be headed toward the runoff elections, right? So it was very close margins in their senatorial races, and they had two. Afterwards, I got poached to organize on behalf of Senators Warnock and Ossoff, which meant that I had to move to Atlanta for a short period of time. So here I am, bringing my 2.5 bags along with me for the ride everywhere I go. In Atlanta, I received a job offer to also work for Peace Corps headquarters, requiring me to relocate to Chicago for the role. So as I left Georgia, I briefly came back to Arizona, didn't even bother unpacking. At this point, I've been living out of my 2.5 suitcases for quite some time. I packed up my entire life yet again, and headed for Chicago, where I've been ever since. So yeah, really the pivot never stopped for me. At least, but it's been such an amazing experience getting to this point that really I'm not complaining.
Well, besides always having 2.5 suitcases packed, what advice would you have for students who are not sure about relocation, but thinking about jobs or volunteer opportunities that could lead them to move?
I would say, first of all, start with one suitcase and see where that lands you. For those sitting on the fence, you'll know when the time is right for you. You'll know when the opportunity is right for you and if you want to choose it. As you go along your journey, like chapters and settings in a book, there comes a natural progression of also your own character development, right? And sometimes that personal growth means that you do outgrow the environment that you're in. And it's okay if you feel like that chapter isn't closed just yet, where you're at in this moment in time. If you feel like that's right for you, it's okay to acknowledge that. But also, if you feel like you're ready for something more that's out there, right? And maybe you still don't know what it is, maybe that could be a sign for you to listen to what your body is telling you. Ultimately, what I hope for anyone who's listening is that you're able to give yourself the allowance to know that there are no wrong choices in whichever move that you make. Are you basing it off of someone else's timeline, or are you basing it off of someone else's influence? I hope that you're able to give yourself the permission to make the decision that is right for you in your own timeline, in your own influence. At the end of the day, you're going to know the answer.
For students or those listening who are not very familiar with the Peace Corps, can you talk to me a little bit about the difference between being an employee and working full time with them and being a volunteer?
Absolutely. So, this is, I think, one thing that a lot of people ask me about, right? Sometimes when I tell people that I work with the Peace Corps, they always say, "Oh, I didn't know that we had domestic volunteers." And we don't, right? All of our volunteers serve abroad outside of the US, but because I work in headquarters, I work for the agency, right, to ensure that the entire mission of the Peace Corps still moves on, that we still have and recruit students or any US citizen who wants to serve so that they make it through that application process, they know about the agency, and that they're able to fulfill their dreams and all of the requirements to take them the rest of the way. When you are a volunteer, you are committing to a 27-month service where you're placed anywhere in the world. You can also kind of choose regions that may be of interest to you. You really specialize in one of 6 different sectors, one of 6 different roles that you can go into. So for me, I chose to go into the education sector, but there are also different sectors that a lot of different volunteers can serve into, such as agriculture, community and economic development, environment, health, and also youth in development. So the work that you're doing while you're abroad really hones in and tailors toward a full professional experience that really also sets you apart as you place it on your resume and you navigate your professional experience as well. I always say it's called volunteering, but really everything is paid for, right? Your flights to and back are paid for. Your housing, your room and board is taken care of. You get a stipend as well to live off of. You're not really paying for anything out of pocket. The agency does take care of you in a lot of different ways, gives you extensive benefits when you come back. And never again in your life will you be able to get the multiple levels of support as you grow yourself professionally than in the Peace Corps. That was the experience that I found when I was serving.
Well, thank you for joining us today and learning from Michael's experience. If you're interested to learn more about navigating, moving around the world and taking new jobs, you can connect with him on LinkedIn, and I'll spell his first and last name for you. It's going to be Michael, Michael, last name Houang. To hear more alumni advice, head to our episode page wherever you listen to podcasts, on the college's YouTube channel, or visit thecollege.asu.edu/LFE podcast. See you next time.